So this video was never supposed to exist, but because I forgot to turn my recording off after getting footage for another game review, I ended up with the entirety of Choo-Choo Charles recorded in 4K, so that's why this video exists, because what else am I supposed to do with this footage? I mean, I kinda have to review it because giant train game! So at that point, did I really even have a choice in the matter? Sacrifice an old man, risk your life for colors, collect corpses for a witch, and fight a locomotive with bug spray. Okay, so, Eugene, who's an old friend of ours, invites us to the island of Anorinium to hunt down a giant spider train named Charles. Also, I just want to say, I love the fact that the game doesn't even beat around the fact we're fighting a giant spider train. I kid you not, we see Charles for the first time 45 seconds into the game. This is probably a good choice, though, due to the concept being so insane that trying to play it as serious would have just made the game worse. Anyways, we make our way onto the island and arm ourselves with the best part of the game. No, not that train. I mean, this train. Your epic train. This was genuinely a stroke of genius. The map is huge enough already, so having to walk around would have been a pain. And fighting Charles would have been either impossible or incredibly unrealistic. The train is not only fun, but also fits the game to a T. You can get around, shoot things, paint it, and upgrade it, all in preparation for the fight with Charles. The train upgrades and other colors look nice, and the moments where you're slowly rolling around the island where nothing is happening were more fun than I expected, just taking in the environment, and Eugene dies. Rip. Then I ran over him with my train. Twice. Rip squared. The last thing Eugene tells us is to go find Charles's eggs and to go find his son, and then the game cuts you loose. Your main objective on the island is to do odd jobs for the townsfolk, collect the eggs, and kill Charles. This can be done in a number of ways. Most of the missions are optional, but it's likely you'll do them all anyways due to how short the game would be without them. This is a short game, and you can almost 100% it in 2 hours, and if you choose not to do any of the side missions, you may be able to complete it in under 20 minutes. So to make up for the price, you should just do all of them. The fetch quest missions are alright, some are good, and others can be pickle lady. The best fetch quest mission, surprisingly, is the witch one. The reason is it's genuinely scary and filled with tension. Choo-Choo Charles is a horror game, but it's not very scary. Charles either borders on being funny, or being awesome as hell. Whew, sorry, I let Kill It With Fire era Wesley take over there for a second. In the train you fight him and that's the focus, and on the ground you either die so fast it's not even scary, or survive and, well, you laugh at this. But in the witch one, you feel like you're in genuine danger. You can't see the monster above the water, and you can't fight back. The Slenderman one was fine, I guess. Getting sent back outside after getting caught is annoying, but it's better than dying, and the reference itself is nice. The weapon missions range from short and sweet to the best mission in the game. Getting rockets and getting the flamethrower is fine enough, mostly boils down to walking around or doing a small task. However, the Bob mission is the best one in the game. I mean, you're getting a giant gun whose name is Bob. I mean, you can't beat that, and the fact that you can take your train into the camp means you can fulfill the ultimate game cliche of, if the mission can be done loud, you do it loud. Now, I hate to say this because the Bob mission is genuinely very good, but the gun Bob itself has no use in the game. I'll dive into the Charles AI a little bit later, but I never encountered him while I was on my train, and I could never get back to it fast enough without dying to fight him, so the long-ranged weapon doesn't really work, and in the boss fight, Bug Spray and the Boomer are the only two weapons that really even work to kill Charles. One way or another, the missions are good, they pad out the runtime, and they're not too boring or tedious, and the story itself is interesting enough to keep you invested. The characters are interesting enough, the models look actually pretty good for a one-person developer, and the jank honestly adds to the game. The lore behind the island is pretty good, and real-life Mr. Gold is a fine human antagonist.
Although, I'm disappointed to see that he chose to stay on the mainland. rather than return with you.
Guys, how do we tell him? I hate the cultists. I hate them. I hate these stupid cokehead train face looking. These guys can burn in hell, honestly. I can't with them. On the other side of the cultist missions, though, the caves are the best looking part of the game, from a visual perspective. The atmosphere is great and very spooky. The game, all around, looks great, and hilariously enough, looks better and works better than some modern AAA games from billion-dollar companies. This was made by one person, remember that. Anyways, main attraction time. Time for the man of the hour himself, Train. Charles is the selling point of the game. And you know what? Honestly, he delivers. The final boss battle is great, Charles is the best looking model in the game, and I also got the best clip of a Charles kill ever. Those 2 scraps were so worth it. The AI for Charles is smart enough to make the game work, but maybe a scripted encounter halfway through the game in this giant stretch where nothing happened would make the game a little better. Sure, it could feel cheap, having it be scripted, but something to help pull this huge area together would feel nice. Especially considering the fact that I rarely ran into Charles while I was actually in the train, so I couldn't actually fight him. I could pretty much die to him. And sure, you could have that jump scare, but I never really got the chance to fight him outside the final boss fight or the tutorial, which is a bit of a bummer because it's kind of what the game is marketed on. Fight Charles using your own train. Now, yes, you could argue that I was supposed to bring Charles back to my train, but remember, in all the times I met Charles, I was way, way away from my train and couldn't possibly bring him back without dying. Also, the only penalty for dying is A, losing up to 2 scraps, and B, getting sent back to your train. It is literally cheaper and easier to just let Charles kill you than to repair your train after a long fight that would take you away from your objective. And this is bad, because using death as a quick and easy fast travel negates all punishment of actually dying. The final boss fight with Charles is fantastic. It is the best part of the game and absolutely worth everything you've built up for. The Hell Charles design is fantastic, the music is great, it's a genuinely challenging boss fight, especially if you spent all your scrap on upgrades and don't have any left to heal your train. And that final cutscene with Charles, oh man, that's amazing. That is the best part of the game right there. This is the best cutscene in the game. And thus ends the game. I guess what I'm trying to say is, whatever criticism I have for this game just doesn't really count. Sure, Charles isn't particularly scary, but does he need to be? The game still works great if he isn't. Oh, the character models are a bit jank? They're made by one guy and they fit the game's tone. The game is short, still super enjoyable. It's not a perfect game, obviously, but for what it is... Okay, yeah, it's time to address the main problem. The price of the game is $20, and for 2 hours of playtime, yeah, that's not a great deal, and it really makes the problems that I would be able to set aside to enjoy the game worse than they already would be. You should play this game and support the developer. Really, it is a great game. But just wait for a sale, because even $15 would be better for what you get than with $20. At the very least, a scripted encounter with Charles, or maybe 1 or 2 more missions would help with this problem, but in the current state the game is, just wait for a sale. But, whatever price you decide to buy the game at, all I'll say is, funny train game! Let's see, I give this game 8 hell spiders out of 10 dead old men.